The only support and the help that you really need and you will always keep going is the one from yourself.
So the day 2 was the most hardest because the motivation was going lower. The discipline was still not growing because it's just day 2. So your motivation's going down. It hasn't developed into a habit yet. So you're just in this point where you're physically forcing yourself.
They're always going to be, even the closest people that you have, which in my case is my mom, are not going to support you and not going to help you. And you have to push and keep going through the support and help you get from yourself. And
you have to let your discipline kick in, and you have to keep repeating it every single day. And there will be setbacks. There will be moments where you're like, I don't want to do this.
Not worth it. Yeah.
But if there are people who do not believe in you, prove to them that you are worthy, prove to them that you are going to be a success, you are already a success, and just prove to them that you got this.
Sofi Manyassan is a bit of an anomaly. In a social media world filled with chaotic teens chasing every possible trend, she stands out effortlessly. She's calm, focused, and for someone who's still only 17, she carries more grace than most adults I know. While other teen influencers are out here doing awkward thirst traps in parking lots or oversharing in ways they'll probably regret in 5 years, Sofi's just grounded. And I think that's what makes her so different. She carries herself with purpose. Her content doesn't feel like she's constantly trying to prove something. It feels like someone who knows who she is, even while growing up in front of millions of people. The thing people forget is that Sophie didn't just appear one day with 7 million YouTube subscribers. She didn't go viral off a dance and ride the algorithm to fame. This wasn't luck. Sophie's been working at this since she was 2 years old. She started dancing basically as soon as she could stand. And by the time most kids were just learning their times tables, she was already on stage. Then in 2015, her family made a huge move from Kazakhstan to Los Angeles so she could go all in on a performance career. That takes a level of commitment most adults can't even manage. And it worked. She trained, she learned, she built an audience. Now she has over 8 million subscribers on YouTube, 2.2 million followers on Instagram, and more than 1 million on TikTok. And what makes all of that even more impressive is that she did it without resorting to any kind of internet mess. And yeah, there's definitely a reason for that.
It's Sophie, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been getting a lot of messages throughout my social media career that you guys are really amazed of how close me and my mom is, our very close relationship.
Her mom, Olga Manyassan, isn't just Sophie's mother, she's basically her co-pilot. They appear in videos together, dance together, film skits, and from what you can see online, their relationship is real. Not stage mom fake, not overly curated, just genuine. Olga is funny, smart, and clearly involved, and that's where so many teenage influencers fall apart. You can always tell who's doing it alone, or who's surrounded by people that just want to use them. Sophie doesn't give off that vibe at all. She's not getting pushed into clout-chasing collaborations or baiting drama for clicks. You can feel the difference in how she moves. And people notice. I mean, just go look at the comments under her videos. They're not filled with people fighting or trolling. They're not calling her cringe or fake. They're complimenting her style. They're pointing out how well she carries herself. You don't see that much anymore. Sophie always dresses so elegantly. The others just dress like random, trendy Gen Z. And it's true, she looks like someone who actually puts thought into what she represents. She's not trying to shock people into watching her. She just shows up and does her thing. But none of this happens by accident. You don't get a teenage influencer this stable without some serious guidance behind the scenes. And I think that's what this whole video really comes down to. There have been a lot of videos online about teenagers, especially teenage girls, trying to act way, way above their age. Kelly Schollis made a very good video about this, and I see all these other YouTubers making videos about these teenage girls on the internet who do anything for views, and they usually just straight up blame the girls themselves, which is not right. For instance, in the whole Princess Amelia situation where she was sexualizing herself online, I don't place all the blame on her. A huge part of that blame goes to her parents and guardians, and I'm not saying that just because someone is underage, they shouldn't take responsibility. No, that's not what I mean. The main purpose of making this video is to identify what Sofi Manyassan has that so many of these other spoiled teenage influencers lack, and how that difference is directly contributing to her positive behavior. It starts with involvement.
That I'm grateful for in real life. I mean, in real life, not just on camera. Me and my mom are very close. We're like sisters, best friends, the closest you can get.
Olga, Sophie's mother, isn't just present. She's active. She's there. She's in the content, not just managing from a distance. She frequently appears in videos with Sophie, which means she's actively spending a lot of time with her daughter. And her consistent presence in Sophie's videos creates a kind of safety net. It keeps Sophie from drifting into the chaos that swallows so many young creators. Just think about the things her friend, Princess Amelia, does in front of the camera. Now ask yourself, if Amelia's parents were constantly monitoring her account, would she be doing doing those things? Would she be dressing and acting as provocatively as she does? Because I seriously doubt any Asian parent would allow their 16-year-old daughter to behave like that online, no matter how much money they're making from it. And if you take a look at Amelia's comment section, it's even worse. It's filled with disturbing comments, PDFs, sexual remarks, and honestly, it's not surprising, considering the content she puts out. But what is concerning is that no one seems to be regulating that comment section. No one's monitoring it, moderating it, or cleaning it up. PDFs are unfortunately a part of the internet that just won't go away entirely. But if you compare Amelia's channel to creators like Just Jules or Sofi Manyassan, the difference is night and day. Their comments are noticeably more polished. Sure, the occasional inappropriate comment might pop up, but it never stays up for long. It gets deleted fast. And there's a pattern here. These similar-aged influencers, Just Jules, Sofi Manyassan, usually have parents who are visibly present in their content, whether they're on-screen or working behind the scenes. When a parent is that visible, it sends a message to everyone around. This girl is protected, and people notice. I even came across a Reddit thread asking why Sophie is so protected. That tells you something. She's not out here alone, trying to figure everything out by herself. And when kids feel that kind of support, they're more likely to listen, more likely to slow down, more likely to avoid falling into stuff that doesn't actually fit who they are. Now, obviously, no one can live in a controlled bubble forever. Teenagers grow up, they want independence. They start to pull away from their parents a bit. That's normal. But right now, Sophie is one of the very few influencers her age who hasn't been swept up in the usual cycle: get popular, get messy, get canceled, rinse and repeat. If anything, her story proves that fame doesn't have to wreck a kid. If you build the right foundation early, if you have parents who show up, care, and stay involved, it is possible to raise someone who can handle the pressure. You don't have to hover or be overbearing to the point of suffocation, but you do need to be present. You need to set the tone before the internet does. Sophie was raised with the internet, not by it. That's the difference. I just wish more parents understood that. But here's the tricky part about raising a teenage influencer. It's not just about keeping them grounded, it's about keeping them safe from everyone else. Because no matter how well you raise your kid, the internet has a way of surrounding them with people who weren't raised the same. And that's exactly where Sofi Manyassan's story gets complicated. It's not Sophie that's the problem. It's her environment. More specifically, the people around her. Her so-called friends. Sophie stands out because she's well-raised, focused, and clean-cut, but the people around her are starting to bring in a very different energy. Let's start with Amelia. She's only 16, same age range as Sophie, but the way she presents herself online just feels off. And it's not even about fashion in a judgmental way. People can wear whatever they want. It's more about how she carries herself. She dresses older, she acts older, she dances in a way that feels very adult, and not in a good way. Then you look at who she spends time with. Older boys, sketchy people. That's not something you can just ignore. Now imagine those same people hanging around Sophie. That same energy showing up in her videos. It wouldn't matter if Sophie herself wasn't doing anything wrong. Viewers don't separate guilt by behavior. They judge by association. Now, let's talk about Nevada. If you've seen any of her recent posts, you already know what I'm talking about. Collaborating with OnlyFans creators.
If you look a little deeper, a lot of people she collaborates with are weird, like very weird. Now, I was just casually scrolling on Nevada's Instagram and I found a post that she posted very recently of her collaborating with two pretty, I wouldn't even say low-key, like I'm going to say two high-key problematic influencers, right? Now, if you are active on social media, you would have heard Anna Malangon and Jenna. Now, it doesn't take a genius to know that Anna is a OnlyFans creator. She is, and she is absolutely shameless about it. She's very beautiful, I have to give that to her, but she is shamelessly promoting her content on Instagram with very creative ways, right? Jenna doesn't seem like she has a OnlyFans account, but she has a page where it's very suggestive that she has some sort of weird sexual content.
Linking up with influencers who are known for pushing boundaries way too far. Again, Sophie isn't the one doing it, but that doesn't matter to the algorithm. It doesn't matter to the public. The moment you start hanging around people who live in that zone, the internet assumes you're part of it too. The internet doesn't hand out the benefit of the doubt. It runs with whatever narrative gets the most clicks. And then we get to Thomas Wu, Amelia's brother. Let's not sugarcoat it. This guy is a massive red flag. He's 25, almost 26, and he's constantly around teenage girls. That's not just weird, it's inappropriate. And it makes people uncomfortable for a reason. We've seen this story before. We've seen what happens when older men get too comfortable around young influencers. It never ends well. To make things worse, people are already calling out his behavior, saying he's too touchy, saying his so-called older brother energy isn't brotherly at all. Now, Sophie does have other friends who pop in occasionally for collaborations, but she mainly hangs around these three and Elsa. Although, to be fair, Elsa isn't problematic at all. The only reason they're all all even connected is because they live in the same city. And that's exactly why Olga's role as a parent is still so important. Right now, she's present, she's visible, she's in the content, she's watching the room. But that might not last forever. Teenagers pull away from their parents. It's just part of growing up. And when that happens, they start listening to their friends more than their family. That's when the risk increases. You can't raise a perfect child, but you can raise a protected one who knows how to spot fake friends, one who understands that not all attention is worth chasing, one who gets what it means to protect their peace. Sofi Manyassan is one of the few who's made it this far without losing herself. She's proof that it's possible. But if she wants to keep that reputation intact, she needs to do the hardest thing any teenage influencer can do. Start being selective about who stands next to her. Because the internet is watching. And so are all the parents raising kids who look up to her. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Is Sophie going to stay on the right path? Or is the pressure going to catch up to her like it has for so many others? See you in the next one. Peace.